Mayor Suarez, thank you so much, man, for taking your time. I know you got a busy schedule.
It's great to be here. I prefer being on your site in this format than in the other format. So
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Oh, you reached out to me a while ago, and I was trying to make it happen. But yeah, this has worked out great. Before we get rolling, I want to get a little background about you and how you got into politics and all that stuff.
So my dad came to this country at 12 years old from Cuba. My mom at 7. And, you know, my dad was the first Cuban mayor of Miami in 1985. I was the first Miami-born mayor of Miami in 2017.
Oh, wow.
So we're the first father and son. You know, he was the first Cuban mayor. I was the first Miami-born mayor. So it's a nice legacy. And I love this city. I love this community. I was born here. I was raised here. I went to high school here. I went to college here in the community. Went to law school in University of Florida in Gainesville, but not far away. And then came back, and I've lived here my whole life. So I've been a byproduct of this community. You know, the interesting story with the water, when I was a kid, when I was 15, 14, 16 years old, I was a sailing camp counselor in the bay that's just
right
outside.
Here. I saw him this morning.
So I grew up, you know, learning how to sail, first of all, teaching kids how to sail on the bay, on Biscayne Bay. And I've been an avid spear fisherman and fisherman
no way.
my whole life. Yeah, I love spear fishing.
It's
my number one hobby. It's the thing I love to do the most.
You got to come up. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we have some of the best diving, honestly, in the world.
See, I'd never heard that. That's amazing.
There's an old Coast Guard tower out there called Frying Pan Shoals, and my buddy owns it, and we can go dive. We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I go to the Bahamas a lot. I just love it. And to me, it's almost like a religious experience.
Yeah.
And it teaches you how to relax, which is interesting and how to be in the moment.
It's quiet.
Right? It's very quiet, and it's very, very different from my life here, which is very, very chaotic, very, very fast paced, making a lot of big decisions. So I think probably one of the biggest reasons why it appeals to me is because it's so different from what I do every single day.
We've been doing a great job, man. Congratulations. I appreciate it.
You know, I'm very blessed. I'm in my last year. I got, a few hundred days left. And because of that, I think a lot about, what we've accomplished. And I think a lot about what the legacy should be. And I think a lot about, what are things that we should be focused on. And one of the things that, part of the reason why I reached out to you was, we had a tragic boating accident with Ella Adler, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I know her family. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people in this community. And it was a tragic accident. And I remember right after that accident, I was at an event with my children, and a friend of mine from high school, a young, one of the mothers there, came up to me and said, "Hey, I don't really understand all the rules, and I don't really understand."
It's very complicated.
Yeah, who's responsible for what? But you're the mayor of Miami.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who you are. Everybody sees your channel. You know what I mean? Like, you need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, man, like, light bulb. I'm a boater. I love fishing. I was obviously a fan of your channel and the how-to channel and a lot of other.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, a lot of other apps and channels that I watch, and it like just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, yeah, am I doing enough? I really didn't even think about it because we have our Marine Patrol and we do the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, and that's what I was always focused on. Right, I'm always focused on sort of like the city part. But she's like, no, you have a responsibility that's greater than just your position or what you may technically be responsible for. You have a platform, and you need to use that platform to start being part of the solution.
Yeah, social media is crazy because it never used to be like this, and that's I did the same thing because I was doing this as a joke, as entertainment.
Right.
But then I was, realizing people are learning from these mistakes that they see.
I do all the time. I watch you guys all the time.
I get people that message me like, "We never thought this could happen on the water." So that's good to hear. And then, when you told me about the symposium that you had, that last year was the first year that you've done that, right?
It was the first year we did it. We got, everybody, every single jurisdiction that had anything to do with the water, we invited them. They were all here, explaining a lot of these things. We created an informational booklet for boaters. We plan on doing it. Well, I'm going to only be here for another year, but we hopefully plan on doing it forever. And it's an opportunity for free, by the way. We did it. It was completely free.
Yeah.
And we brought the Lucy Fernandez Foundation. We brought a lot of people together, just educating people because like you said, and we were talking about this off air. A big part of the accidents are alcohol or substance abuse related, but another percentage are people that are inexperienced and just don't know. And we're also sort of saying that, like, there's a very big misperception that driving a boat is like driving a car.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
Right? Everything with driving a car is very defined. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of parameters. The car stops. You're in a lane. There's stop signs. There's red lights. There's all these things that help you navigate. Right? Whereas when you're in the water, it's a lot more free flowing. The boats don't stop that fast,
No.
right? Like the boats, they carry, the wind affects it, the current affects it. All of it working at the same time affects it.
Yeah.
Right. So, learning how to drive a boat is really a lifelong process, right?
So a boat, out of all pieces of machinery, is the one thing that you don't need a hands-on, a course to pass.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think my opinion on it is probably controversial because I know the boating community, and now there have been more restrictions, right? And so now I think to operate, anything more than 10 horsepower, if you're 14 or 21, you need to have a boating safety course.
That's right. Yep.
If you're under 14, you can't do it without a supervised adult. I've always believed that boaters should be licensed.
Yeah.
Maybe controversial in the boating community because I know it's not the status quo.
I think all ages.
All ages.
Yeah.
And listen, I remember when I went to Mi Tío driving school when I was a kid, you know what I mean? And I learned with another guy that had a false, a brake pad on the other side. And you need to, you're talking about a vessel that's hundreds of thousands of dollars oftentimes. You're talking about something that has a lot of weight, and it's carrying multiple passengers, many more oftentimes than you have in a car.
Yes.
And like I said, the rules of physics are completely different. So I just don't understand why we would require somebody to have a driver's license for a car and not have a driver's license for a boat. I don't think it's asking for a lot. That's my humble opinion. I know it can be controversial in the boating community, but that's how I feel.
You're right on the money, and a lot of people are agreeing because they're noticing it. I mean, once COVID hit,
look at all the things that have happened.
Yeah, well, once COVID hit, everybody bought a boat. You know why? Because they can get away. They didn't have to wear masks and all this stuff.
For sure.
And we looked at the numbers last night. There's 80,000 registered vessels in this county.
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, and it's tight, and you got a lot on your shoulders, and
and I think it's 1 million or so in Florida.
You're right.
So it's a ton in Florida. So it's like, there's a lot of people out in the water, particularly on the weekends, and so it really is, something that requires a high level of skill, a lot of time and dedication. Pilots, when you're flying, you got to put in hours, right? That's the whole point, is like you've got to be doing it over and over again so you're proficient. And then you learn how to deal with things that go wrong. I mean, I've had all kinds of things go wrong for me when I'm boating.
And how do you react when
how do you react? How do you,
keep your cool?
Keep your cool, react. And so anyway, I mean, it's definitely a challenge sometimes.
I noticed just from our page that there's a lot of children, when I was 16 and younger, that are out on boats that are massive, I mean, expensive boats. And it's tricky because
unsupervised.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just tricky because there's so many different laws on the water. Like, okay, does state manage this? Does federal manage this? And it's kind of like nobody's really enforcing it and stopping it. Is there anything that you want to see differently in Miami? Because you're the busiest area here.
So just the general rule is if it's 3 miles inward, the jurisdiction is state and local.
Yes.
If it's 3 miles outward, you're in federal waters and the jurisdiction is federal. So inside, you've got, Florida Fish and Wildlife. You've got, the Coast Guard will still come inside depending on what the incident is. You've got, obviously Miami-Dade County. You've got the city of Miami. You've got the city of Miami Beach. So you have a lot of different jurisdictions that are patrolling the waterways. This budget year, budgeted more from our Marine Patrol because we're seeing an uptick in, charter boats. We're seeing an uptick in a variety of recreational boating. And also we're seeing an uptick of complaints from residents from noise that emanates from boats.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we're dealing with. But, we did a campaign too recently with the Spoil Islands, an anti-littering campaign, because boating is not just about, it is about safety on the water. That's the number one thing. But it's also about protecting our ecosystem, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? And so I grew up in this incredible bay, and I was able to spearfish when I was a kid. And we have to protect it. We have to protect our fisheries. We have to protect our coral. We have to protect, the water quality, right? Like this is a treasure.
Yeah.
And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But like with all treasures, you have to be a good steward.
Yeah. And it's just tough because not everybody's out there patrolling all the time. A lot goes behind closed doors.
And not everybody's responsible.
No.
And we want them to be responsible. We want them to take ownership. These are your assets. These are our community assets. And if we want our kids to enjoy them, we got to take care of them today.
All right, a big shout out to the Water Sports Foundation for helping us out on this podcast. Their Lessons for Life project that's funded by the U.S. Coast Guard is an amazing thing. They help bring on people that have experienced traumatic injuries or life-threatening situations on the water to help others realize what mistakes they made and ultimately help save lives in the long run. So big shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it.
I think I saw something. Was it you or somebody or the DeSantis that got rid of the balloons? And so I thought I saw something on the news.
I'm not sure. It might have been DeSantis.
But yeah, I mean, because that's the number one thing I see out on the water. Because I was a CTO captain. Balloons.
Yeah. Wow,
it's crazy.
Well, you'd be out there all the time.
The time.
Yeah. We and our guys are out there all the time. Our Marine Patrol guys, they're doing a great job. They work really, really hard. People don't realize how vulnerable they are out there because, like, let's say, for example, someone's having, let's say, look, one of these islands, like a spoil island or whatever, and a fight breaks out.
Yeah.
Right? In the city, when something happens where all the police are called, they get there fast, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can come from wherever they are and converge.
That's right.
On the water, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You're basically handling it on your own. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
And that's why it's important for a boat owner or captain. We try to push this, like how to use the tourniquet, how to use this stuff, because guess what?
That's another thing.
You don't have an ambulance that's going to be out there. So if something goes wrong, like, I mean, you're responsible to try to help get this guy back to shore safely.
And we did that, by the way. Part of our boating symposium was not just how-to boating stuff, right? Like not just how to operate the vessel. A lot of it was first responding, safety, right? How do you do compressions now?
Yes.
It changed how they do CPR. How do you apply a tourniquet?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big proponent of that. I go to the Bahamas a lot. And so, there's not the same sophisticated level of medicine and medical treatment as there is here in the United States. And you're, a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour away from any hospital or a big, hospital. So you have to have some of these skill sets because, as you know, we were talking about some terrible stuff off the air. Things can go wrong. They go wrong very quickly and very, very severely.
Mm-hmm.
You were giving me an example of a very tragic situation with a father and a
Oh,
daughter.
it was terrible.
It's terrible. So, you have to be prepared for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one thing. These safety courses that are online that are managed federally and by the state, they cover just the basics, just the rules of the road and all that. But we're in the works right now of making our own course to kind of cover the curriculum, but go above and beyond. Like teach people how to use a tourniquet, etiquette on the water. Don't know about the no wake zones and the manatee issues and all that stuff.
I also think like simple things like, wearing a PFD. I know it doesn't seem cool. You know what I mean?
They make some,
but they're super thin now.
Yeah.
And, they look. Our guys are wearing them 24/7. Having a kill switch connected to you when you're boating. I have a friend who was driving his boat to Bimini. He wasn't paying that much attention. He got hit with the wake from a container ship, got tossed from the boat, didn't have his, it was a small boat, 20-footer, didn't have his kill switch on, and he sat in the water for 11 hours.
Jeez.
Until he got picked up again.
So they make wireless fobs now too.
They make wireless fobs. They have these like sort of homing beacons out that they make as well, that like if you get tossed, it sends out like a GPS signal.
Yep.
Right. So it's really not that clumsy to wear. Like they're small or relatively small. I'm such a big proponent of all that stuff because I just feel like,
that's good. I always think worst case scenario.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if heaven forbid you get tossed somehow from your boat, and you have those three things, there's a 97% chance you're going to make it out.
Yeah.
If you're in the water for 10, 11 hours, man, you hypothermia, you got sharks, never getting, found. I mean, he got lucky because he was in a shipping channel and a Philippine shipper is the one that ended up getting him. So, it's just...
I love seeing now though. I think things are changing. I have a lot of kids that follow us for 14 to 18 years old, that kind of age. And I have them send me pictures of us, of them wearing a life jacket, or they do seriously. And then they show me, they're like, hey, we bought one of your trauma kits. Like, here, we keep this on board, you know?
Yeah, I bought one of the trauma kits.
I saw that.
Yeah.
When my mom sent me a picture, she's like, yeah, look, the mayor bought.
I did buy one. Yeah, that was cool.
It's just a basic kit, but the key components, though, is stop the bleed.
Well, it convinced me when I mean, you do good advertising, because I was like, this looks like a pretty, it's a very comprehensive kit. And like I said, you know, I do go a lot into places where there isn't any, very remote, right? So when you're fishing, sometimes going to remote places is the best place to go, right?
Yeah.
So, so it's crazy.
Yeah. Man, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but back to the boating symposium. Do you plan on doing that again?
We do. And like I said, I hope that whoever takes over for me plans on doing it forever. Because I just realized, first of all, I was shocked to know that nobody did it. And I was like, you know, this just doesn't, you know, and I guess part of the problem is that, and we talked about this, is that there's so many different jurisdictions, so nobody takes ownership.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this is my responsibility.
People may be nervous to, I don't know. Here's the thing, there's so many resources available now.
Yeah.
If it may not be a law, but take advantage of these resources. I mean, I know captains that are out there at the helm training, for example, they're training people all over the country.
Yes. Private lessons. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree that you should do that, particularly if you've never boated before and you buy a new boat. I mean, regardless of whether you have to take a license test or not, you should absolutely hire somebody.
Especially if you're buying a big boat.
100%. Oh, no, if you're buying a big boat, for sure.
What kind of boat?
Frankly, any boat.
Yeah.
I have a 34 CV.
34.
So,
oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. So I love the boat. It's a great boat.
It's one of the best.
It's one of the best boats. It's a tank. You know what I mean? And it's a great fishing boat, and it's very efficient. But yeah, I love it. I love the boat. It's a phenomenal.
Love the water, man. This is home. This is what it's all about here in Miami. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But okay, cool, man. Well, keep us posted on when the dates are for the symposium. I want to support it, be a part of it. I'll be more than happy to do a seminar there for you guys or something like that. And yeah, hopefully this is gonna be a good year, and appreciate you coming on board.
You got it, brother. Thanks
Thank you so much.
Opportunity.
Yep.